And here is one of the favorites, Grant Fisher.
He's the American record holder, 5th in Tokyo, 4th at World Champs in 2022, was injured last year, but is showing great form.
And he will be up against his old training partner, Woody Kincaid.
And he has to get away from Kincaid before that final lap. Woody Kincaid has arguably the best kick in this field, the best kick in the United States. He has to get distance from him, or Kincaid will come and hunt him down.
Both those gentlemen went to Tokyo. They were 2 of the 3, along with Joe Klecker, who represented the Stars and Stripes in Tokyo. Ready to go for the final of the men's 10,000. Here we go. Now, you've got to meet the Olympic standard, as well as being in the top 3, and 3 athletes have that Olympic standard of 27 minutes even. And we just showed you 2 of them, Grant Fisher, Woody Kincaid. The other is Nico Young.
Nico Young is having an incredible season. He won indoor titles for the NCAA for Northern Arizona. We see him in 2nd place right now. And, you know, Lee, this is sort of to be expected. We see Conner Mantz, our Olympic trials marathon champion, leading this right now. He loves to lead. He just won the Boulder for the 2nd time. He just is a grinder. And this is good for other men in the field, because Conner Mantz will go to the front and push this, and it'll help create some separation.
Well, the performance that Conner Mantz and his training partner Clayton Young, and then Leonard Korir, who, by the way, is going to Paris. He had that 3rd spot. The show that Conner Mantz, and in particular Clayton Young, put on in Orlando earlier this year in February at the marathon trials was spectacular.
It really was. Conner Mantz has really arrived as a marathoner, but he has some pretty good credentials on the track. We're used to seeing him run the U.S. champs in the 10,000 and the 5,000 and leading it. This is also how he raced when he was at BYU. So he has absolutely nothing to leave here. We see the photo here. He's already going to the Olympics. This is just icing on the cake.
And on the women's side as well. What a day that was.
Very, very strong team for Team USA.
So let's get back to it. Nico Young doing a little bit of chasing. He's got Grant Fisher behind, Conner Mantz ahead, and Woody Kincaid slips into 4th in these early laps of the men's 10,000.
And, you know, Nico Young chose to not run the 10,000 at the NCAA championships. He wanted to make sure he was as safe and rested as possible here at the Olympic trials for this event. So he only ran the 5,000 at the NCAA championships, passed on the 10,000, and we'll see if that decision pays off tonight.
Dylan Maggard in the mix nice and early as well. You can see that orange and yellow top there. There he is, the 28-year-old out of Washington. As the men's 10,000 is underway, let's rejoin Trey and Paul with some field. Fellas?
Yeah, the pole vaulters are still working their way through what now is the 5th height in the progression, 18.8 1/4, and Chris Nielsen missing on his 1st attempt. They thought they might be done at the last height, Trey, but there was one athlete who chose to pass after 2 misses, and so that forced everybody still left in the competition to go to the next height.
Yeah, I think a lot of that field thought they'd be done. Oh, hey, we've got it. Let's let this run through. And then they're kind of having to re-warm up those legs. We've got a lot more jumps to go tonight.
Back to it on the track. Thanks, guys. And Conner Mantz is setting this early pace. Look to the 4th runner. That's Woody Kincaid. He won the trials in 2021 to go to Tokyo. Remember, of course, because of the global pandemic, things got pushed back a year. Now, Woody could do something pretty cool here tonight. He could join a pretty illustrious list of athletes from Team USA who have won this event at the trials back-to-back. You think about Max Truex, Todd Williams, pardon me, Max Shorter, Frank Shorter. The list goes on. So could he do that? Galen Rupp did it as well, Matt Kaplewski. So let's see what Woody's got later in this race. Conner Mantz, Nico Young, Grant Fisher. Top 3. We're going to duck away to a quick break, come back in the final of the men's 10,000. Still to go here in the final of the men's 10,000 meters at these U.S. Olympic track and field team trials. And this is the first final of the day on day 1. Conner Mantz leading the 21-year-old Californian Nico Young. and then Fisher, Kincaid, and then look who has joined the conversation. The veteran has come into the mix. Paul Chelimo is there, ready to mix it up with these guys. We saw Paul at the marathon trials earlier this year as well. Didn't quite go to plan, but it was interesting to see him at that distance.
Yeah, he ended up dropping out. He was going to debut there. But remember, he's a two-time Olympic medalist in the 5,000. He knows how to run hard. But Lee, they are running fast. Conor Mantz is really taking this. They're running just under 27-minute 10,000-meter pace, which is the the Olympic standard. And this really benefits the guys behind him. That's why we see this gap so early in the race, because for most of these guys, this is well under their personal best pace.
From the track to the field, what's happening, Paul?
Well, the last competition in qualifying today is the women's triple jump. And we'll show you some of the top performances as this just wrapped up a few moments ago. Tori Franklin really shattered the glass ceiling for American triple jumpers. First time ever winning a global, world, or Olympic medal on this pit in Oregon in 2022.
Finally. She's the prohibitive favorite here. Gets out at a far enough distance out into the pit, so we'll see her in the final. She'll be joined by Jasmine Moore, the Florida Gator, who I think just seemingly won everything you could possibly win on that collegiate circuit.
Yeah, 7-time NCAA champion for Jump U at the University of Florida. As Trey mentioned, her best on the day in the second round, 46 feet 1/2 inch. And Keturah Orji trying to make it 3 Olympics, almost made the podium in Rio. In fact, that's the best performance ever by an American at the Olympic Games. She said she will retire at the end of this year and put herself in a good position making the final.
Yeah, the outdoor American record holder in the women's triple jump right there. University of Georgia product, always finds herself at the top here at these U.S. championships, but does exactly what she needs to do to get on to the finals, Lee.
Good stuff. Thanks, Trey. As we continue with the final of the men's 10,000, and an athlete who is already going to Paris. The Olympic marathon trials winner Conor Mantz continues to set the pace.
He really is doing all the work here. We expect this of him. He likes to lead. He likes to control the effort. They have slowed down a little bit. They're not on quite as hot a pace as they were in the beginning, but we still have seen some separation and a pack down to 6 here. Grant Fisher in third, just looking so calm and relaxed. He has the American record in this event. He's run significantly faster than anyone else in the field. As we said, 5th in Tokyo at his first Olympic Games, 4th the following year at the World Championships in 2022. He made some big changes last year, left his training group at Bowerman Track Club, moved up to Park City. He believes he needs to be at altitude to be a medalist, to be the best in the world, and went back to his high school coach. But all indications this year are that it's working out for him.
Certainly is. And he said, look, I probably, if I'm being honest, I prefer the 5,000, but as Paul Chelimo goes for some water, so too does Sam Chalanga. He said, I probably prefer the 5,000, but I've had good results at the 10K.
Yeah, I remember when he was going into college and people were recruiting him for the 1,500, that he was going to be the face of the 1,500. But he is so good at the 10,000. He is so good at riding that line at a fast pace for so long. And he's really become the face of the 10,000 in the United States on the international stage. He has not won a U.S. title in the 10,000 meters. Even with all those accolades, that's the one thing he has not done. And he would like to get that done tonight.
On the back of this lead pack, we haven't mentioned him yet, is hip number 20, Andrew Colley. We also saw him in the Olympic trials, the marathon trials in February. We'll talk more about him in a moment. There's been a move at the front, and for the first time in this men's 10,000 meter final, there is somebody different at the front, and it's the 33-year-old veteran, Paul Chelimo.
Well, we know him better for the 5,000. As we said before, he's won 2 Olympic medals in that event. But as you get older, you tend to move up a little bit. And he talked last year about being the veteran out there and encouraging the next generation. He's moved up to the 10,000 this year. He hasn't been as sharp as years past, but you can never count out someone who has that much race savvy and experience.
Conor Mantz says, yeah, you can have a half a lap or so at the front. No, I want to get back to business as usual. What do we think of the third place Nico Young, the 21-year-old? He's looking good at the moment. Fisher and Kincaid, they're staying in their positions, but what do you make of this youngster?
I think that Nico Young has that it factor. He is so talented. We saw him in high school. He was a high school superstar. He went on to NAU, always in the mix, never quite winning a title, but this year he did win the 3,000 and the 5,000 indoors. And last trials, we talked about him. We knew he was going to be a star. He ran the 5,000, and we talked about him a little bit. We said he's young, he's getting experience. We'll see him in 3 years. Well, here we are, and he's back, and he is definitely a challenger to win this race tonight.
And hasn't moved, hasn't done anything flashy. He's just stayed very consistent. Paul Chelimo, you may have noticed again there, went for some more water. He had his brief flash at the front, and now the multi-time Olympian has slipped back into 5th place. What have we got left here, Cara? Some 13 laps to go.
And I think all the people we expected to be in the front are in the front. You can see that chase pack is starting to catch up to them now. I think that's why Conner Mantz went back to the front to press this a little bit. But I have to say that the 3 with the standard, with Grant Fisher, Woody Kincaid, and Nico Young, all look very, very relaxed. I mean, look at how effortless all 3 of them look right now. Nico Young is just bouncing off the track. Grant Fisher looks like he's jogging.
Yeah.
And Kincaid is just tucked in there, running so smartly. So the 3 big heavy hitters look excellent at this point. And they're fine. They're happy to let Conner Mantz keep pulling this along, keep pulling this out until they have to really fight each other for those spots.
Casey Klinger is in there. He's starting to bridge that gap. You can see him in the white top there. Then Drew Hunter and Sam Chalanga, they are all there. So they've made that lead pack now one extended pack.
And Klinger, you know, trains with Conner Mantz or is around him as a BYU athlete. So BYU has really put out some excellent, excellent distance runners, steeplechasers, marathoners in the last few years. They've really built a little bit of a dynasty out of BYU.
There's been some times, I'm just looking at Grant Fisher in 3rd, and while he looks just so relaxed, so composed, there have been some times, and it has been injury affected at times, but there's been some key races where right at the end where you want to give him an extra boost of kick where he's dropped back. We've seen Woody Kincaid go by and maybe take a potential win away from him. Are we going to see a different Grant Fisher here tonight?
You know, he's really tried to change things up. Like I said, living at altitude full-time, changing up coaches. We just saw him run a 1,500 and run a personal lifetime best. So he's really trying to change it up so that he can be competitive in the mix at the end of these more tactical races.
Well, let's show you some examples of what we're talking about. And again, there is an asterisk next to this because sometimes injuries have impeded him and prevented him from doing more, but this was a thriller. This
was the last Olympic trials. He was leading off that bend. We thought he had it made, but Woody Kincaid came from way back, and look at how much he opened up over that final 100. This was the next year. He was leading with 50 to go, and somehow Joe Klecker just snuck in the inside and out-leaned him right at the line. And then we go back to last year. He was battling an injury, but was in that top 3. He looked like maybe he'd be able to kick by everybody, but instead he faded over this final 100. Now this one's a little different. He was dealing with a pretty serious injury, but this is where he's been vulnerable on the U.S. stage. It's interesting because on the world stage he is there, but I think those races are a little bit faster and a little bit more intense, and he's just so good at riding that line that he's done better at that international stage.
Is he going to race Woody Kincaid any differently now that they're no longer training partners?
You know, they know each other's strengths and weaknesses. And I think what's been really cool about American distance running is everyone is friendly. You know, Nico Young and Woody Kincaid trained together at points. Obviously, Grant Fisher and Woody Kincaid trained together for years. So there's a lot of overlap and a lot of respect for everybody.
Conner Mantz is enjoying his time out front. Has led all but just a brief passage of this men's 10,000 final. We're going to take a quick break. There's 10 laps remaining. 10,000 meters continues here at Haywood Field on the opening day of the U.S. Olympic Track and Field Team Trials. And there's been a change, another one at the front with 39-year-old Sam Chalanga. Just decided that he didn't want to sit back. He was back behind Paul Chelimo, who just had a little contact there with the inside rail. Chalanga said, I want to go to the front. I'm sitting back here. Give me some clear air.
Yeah, you know, he retired from running and then decided to make a comeback. He is 39 years old, and he was able to bridge that gap from that second pack to this lead run. And then he went to the front, and look at this lead. This is a real move right now. He's trying to pull away from this field.
Nico Young goes by Conor Mantz. Grant Fisher goes by Conor Mantz. Woody Kincaid goes by Mantz. So there's some significant change. We'll keep an eye on it as we join Lewis Johnson. What you got, Lewis?
Well, Lee, you guys have had that beautiful view from up top, but down here on the track, I'm waiting for these athletes in the final to finish. And the top three are going to have that emotional moment when they know they've made the team to Paris. We'll have a quick interview, and then I'll have a surprise for them. I'm going to tell them to come over and join me right here at the Eiffel Tower. Now, the one in Paris is 984 feet tall. It's pretty big, but our version is just perfect, 9 feet tall, and it's got this placard here, and I'm going to have some markers, and these athletes in the 10K will be the first ones to sign the Eiffel Tower, signifying that they're on their way to the Paris Games. So it's going to be very cool. Signatures right here, plenty of markers, lots of emotion in a few laps from now. Lee?
Hey, make sure they do small signatures, Lewis.
Yeah, I'm going to have to make sure.
There's
don't
a lot
get
of
crazy.
athletes.
Good point, good point.
We don't want the big font. That's for sure. So, for the top three, so long as they have the Olympic standard here tonight, they can go and join Lewis at that model of the Eiffel Tower and put their signature on it. Remember, that Olympic standard time is 27 minutes, even as Nico Young, the collegiate standout, is going with the veteran at the front.
Yeah, Chelanga took the lead and put some daylight, stretched it out, but then he slowed down and moved out into lane 2. And now we see him slowing down again. So this is a tough way to run a 10,000. It's surging and relaxing and surging and relaxing. And this is a tough way to get it done. It's much easier to run even. But I have been impressed that Nico Young has gone with every move. It tells me he is dialed in. He wants this. He is going to react. He's not going to think. He's just going to react to what he needs to react to get himself on that Olympic team. Plenty
of work in those legs this year as well. Winning at the NCAA Championships. Here comes Andrew Colley making a move around the outside of Paul Chelimo. And he tucks in behind Woody Kincaid. Chelimo's drifting back. As they come to the line, there is 6 laps remaining here in this men's 10K final. The question is, what is the time? And if that time is good, who's going to Paris? We'll answer that really soon.
This is very interesting. You see Sam Chelanga looking over at the other guys. And now we're seeing it slow again. These slower paces.
Whoa.
Oh, geez. See, the slower paces, this is where we see tripping. But also, this plays into Woody Kincaid's arsenal. He can just unleash. He has a special skill. He just flips a switch and just can open up over 400 meters. So they haven't done enough to drop Kincaid yet.
Ryan Ford, Alabama's Ryan Ford. Right there, center of your screen. By the way, that was Drew Hunter who did a really good job to kind of tap dance and walk the tightrope of the rail, so to speak, as he got himself back on track, and now he's up there with Sam Chelanga. This is setting up Paul and Trey for a wild finish when they come to the line. 5 to go.
Agreed, Lee. We just want to slip in the final results in the men's pole vault competition. After 2 hours, they finally got themselves down to what ended up being 13, including the silver medalist from Tokyo, Chris Nielsen.
Yeah, ended up having to take one more jump than he thought he would. You see the wry smile on his face. The Olympic silver medalist, Chris Nielsen, on to the final.
So he had to take another jump. You see the list of qualifiers there back in 6th. That's Sam Kendricks. He decided, I don't want to jump again. And he was still solid enough on his day to get into the final, which will take place on Sunday when they will get a chance to sign the Eiffel Tower. Back for the finish of the race, Lee.
Can't wait for that. See the guys fly high. And here we go. Nico Young now finds himself at the front of this pack. He's trying for his first Olympic team. He's got a couple of Olympians following him who know what that's all about. There's no more dark holes. There's no more surprises. Those 2 highly experienced runners in Grant Fisher and Woody Kincaid know what Olympic competition is all about. This 21-year-old Californian leads a super talented pack.
And look at where Grant Fisher is positioned. He's not running on the rail. He's protecting his position kind of in the middle outside of lane 1, which tells me he's waiting for a move and he wants to make sure he has clearance to match it. So he's willing to run a little outside there and make sure that he is cleared so he can cover any move that happens.
All right. Here comes Paul Chelimo. That veteran experience is coming to the front. So we saw him surge earlier. He's gone to the water table a couple of times. Went back, just had a little bit of a spell. And now Chelimo, the multi-time Olympic medalist, comes to the front.
And this pace has really been all over the place. They'll run fast laps. Look at this. Colley's decided he's going to go to the front now. This pace is just too slow. He knows it's going to come down to a kick, so he's decided he is going to go and try to run it out of all of these other athletes.
And that super stable body position, that is the signature of Grant Fisher. No big head movement, just very stoic and in control as he's going with Colley here. And here comes his old training partner. And Nico Young looks like he's having to dig a little bit for these final 3 laps. You want to play? Let's play. I'll show you what I've got for these final 2 circuits of Haywood Field.
Grant Fisher wants this title. It's the one thing that's eluded him, a U.S. title in the 10,000 meters, and he is trying to make it so that he has broken away enough that no matter what Woody Kincaid does in the final lap, it will not be enough to catch him.
And what Kara's alluding to there as far as the title, while we've been focusing on making the team to Paris, this doubles as the U.S. National Championships as well. So it's down to Grant Fisher, Nico Young, Woody Kincaid, and Drew Hunter is not letting them go.
Drew Hunter is having the race of his life right now. I don't see him out-kicking Woody Kincaid, but there's still 600 to go for these men. And Nico Young, you can see the pain on his face. He just needs to stay focused and keep his composure over these last 500 meters.
Look at that. Look at the grimace. Look at the pain. It's evident. But Nico Young is hanging tough. There's going to be a little bit of a lift here because they'll hear the bell. Grant Fisher and then daylight. 1 more to go.
Here we go. Grant Fisher is on track. He's in his final lap. We see Woody Kincaid starting to move out. I think he just gave Grant Fisher way too much daylight to catch him now. Grant Fisher just controlling this so well. Nico Young looking around. He knows there's someone behind him. He has to make sure he's in the top 3 to secure his spot.
So they're over that 27-minute mark for the Olympic standard, but the top 3 guys in the race already have that Olympic standard. So long as it stays as it is, we can confirm they'll be going to Paris. Look at Grant Fisher. He looked up at the big screen. He wants to know who is behind and how far. And Drew Hunter stepping up from the 1,500 distance to the 10,000 as Grant Fisher starts to pour it on even more. Grant Fisher, the man from Michigan. He went to Tokyo, he's going to go to Paris, and so too is Woody Kincaid. And how about the 21-year-old Nico Young? Gets that 3rd and final position, and he has the Olympic standard. All 3 men are going to Paris. How about that? Grant Fisher bought himself plenty of space, plenty of real estate to hold off the famous Woody Kincaid kick because Woody brought it on the home stretch. But this man here had enough space.
Yeah, well, Fisher closed in 58, where Kincaid closed in 55, but he had just like Grant get too much space.
And Nico Young, congratulations. You've made your first Olympic team.
You know, this is where we saw Grant Fisher decide, I'm not going to leave this to the final 400. I'm going to put the hurt on everyone right now and make them question how badly they want this title. And he went forward, and immediately we saw that open up. And coming home, he was just holding his form. Look at how effortless, how everything is working for him. There's no wasted movement anywhere. You know, Lee, this is a big message. Grant Fisher has gone back. He's done the work. He wants to be on the podium. He's cleaning up all the little things, and he becomes our Olympic trials champion.
Great surge at the end, 2 from Nico Young, and you got a feel for Drew Hunter. Look at him. He was so close. But it's Fisher, Kincaid, and Young, the 3 going to Paris. And Lewis is with them. Take it away, Lewis.
All right, it is a scene down here where you know you've made the Olympic team, and the joy, of course, is very evident. Grant, just take us through the last couple of laps where you took the lead, And how bad did you want this title, this national championship, and, of course, an Olympic berth?
Oh, totally, man. I mean, those last 3 laps, I was just pressing, leaning into it. I knew these guys had really good kicks, so wanted to drag it out with them a little bit. And, man, to be back on Team USA, I've been here with Woody before. We got Nico for the first time, and, man, it feels good.
Nico, what was it like to battle out there? And now you're going to your first Olympics.
I mean, it was amazing. Yeah, just, I feel like this is where I kind of saw my season going, and to execute it today is, like, surreal. So, yeah.
And Woody, now you'll be a 2-time Olympian. What does the moment mean to you?
I mean, I every year has a different challenge, and I work so hard to get here. And this is the team I wanted. This is the best team right here, so thank you.
All right, guys, I have a surprise for you. You're going to be the first ones to sign the Eiffel Tower over here, signifying you're going to Paris. So follow me over. We got some markers for you right here. You can get blue or red, your choice, and go right on over here and be the first ones to put your signature on the Eiffel Tower, signifying you're on the way to Paris to the Olympic Games. Here's your moment. Go for it.
Hopefully they've got enough energy left, Lewis. Congrats. Well, that's day one. It's all about making